Well, hello everyone. You hear Sherry right here talking about for word sick, and basically that if anybody has heard that before, based on like if anybody else were to be commenting on anybody, such as anything about us, to where if anybody was trying to hear from anybody, or it could also mean something such as to where that you'll be overly concerned about something especially. So I included right here are some pictures right here of me when I was very young, and I know. That we may have seen some of them, one of them already, but then this one right here would have been taken right around Christmas time. So this have right here is the Christmas tree, and I know that like with anybody that they're like worried to, or who would really be getting worried too much about the holidays. But some that may say is to where that yeah that if you're worried that you're not going to be well enough to have fun, if, maybe if you gotten sick with something or something came up that you had to be limited on your skills as to where you cannot. It's like that at the maybe at the doctor that puts you on any type of diet or anything like that, anything about what you call eating restrictions or something like that. So I know that with any kids that whenever they get sick or so, whether they come down with maybe a cold or the flu or something like that, that they're like worrying to where that they might get a little bit worried too. But the type of worried sick about that, and then on the other hand, another type that could be is to where that you get real worried and concerned about something to the point to where it kind of makes you kind of like say nauseated. And of course, you have other side effects as well. But the type of a worried sick that I'm also thinking about is also about is to where that those that warrant toward it, yeah, that if you were supposed to what you call it, maybe if it's show up for work, or if it's anything about getting something done, or maybe showing up for something. It could also be maybe an event, or maybe a gathering group or something like that, or any type of any other type of festival or event that like if we're going to be what you call the ones that the friends and know those who know you best, especially the ones who known you for quite a long time, and think about anything else that goes on, especially. And I know that for whatever reason that like maybe for like a job interview, but one of those would be like from back when I was young. That I know some kids that may get worried sick over the fact about. I'm like, yeah, if it's going to be maybe the choir or maybe the play or something going on at the school, that they're going to have it to where that they get worried about standing in front of all those people and thinking about it to where, well, what if I what you call come up with a fever? What if I get a nosebleed? And I know like with anybody that they may have what you call a number of worries on their mind, such as something that goes on. And I guess the best advice you can maybe tell them is to where that try to think about is to where that we may have heard that before, to think about on the inside and knowing about for what you want to show the audience. Don't think about necessarily to where that if they're going to laugh at you, or think about anything else that goes on also, and knowing about how to handle it whenever something goes on especially. So I know that some kids that especially their first date or maybe their first dance, that if they if like if they were maybe at a dance or something like that, and maybe one of the girls from your class asked you to dance, and you didn't know too many dance moves or something like that, so you're like worrying to her that you were thinking about like concerned about that, to where that you were worried that you didn't you were going to maybe dance in a way that they didn't like it, or that you were going to maybe accidentally step on the dress or anything like that, but maybe accidentally lose your balance. But still, that there may be a number of ways of how we describe worried sick. But on the other hand, that the way I kind of describe it also is to where that those that know is like I keep thinking that really, Mike, really anybody when they say that, well, really, I'm like, if you're not married, and of course if you don't got children, as well as anything else that's going on, and about the things that you from what you don't have compared to maybe a few other people have, especially, and knowing about early, I'm like, who else more likely that could be worried about anybody, like especially me though, that I keep thinking that whenever if I maybe besides a doctor's appointment, if I don't show up for work right away, or do show up for something right away, and then the times whenever you're there, it just seems like, well, hey, how are you doing? And they kind of it seems like sometimes that they kind of leave you out of the picture, and it's like it kind of puts you like say in the background or so to where like get out of my way where I'm busy. And but then whenever that you're not there, then that's whenever that they say that they get pretty worried. So I know that there's a lot of people that may wonder to where that yeah, well, come on, you're just saying that, you don't have to lie or anything, but still that for ways of how we can describe for worried sick. And I know that especially around the holidays, so is that for anybody that whenever you're young, that I guess you want to think about is toward good things, especially, and whenever you do get sick with something, or you start worrying about something, it could be maybe the final, or maybe what the doctor's going to say, or maybe about anything about what what your parents are going to say about something. But sometimes, and another thing that I do want to mention about is about if it's going to be what you call bills and loans and stuff like income. And you're like worrying to where that yeah that if you're going to have it to where that you may get worried at times as to where if it's going to be what you call was the money was this, did I do the job right, or if it's did I put did I posit it right, or did I handle it right. So if anybody worries us toward it, really, that each time I think about this, I keep thinking though that worrying more likely makes it worse, compared to what the situation really is. So let's just say if we could score on average, between 5 and maybe 75, between 5 and 75, or maybe 80, about the score is like knowing about how worried you are about something. Between 10 is being what you call it, not so much worried, and as well as for 75 being very much worried. And you may say, so you're going to go ahead and pick 40, and 40 more likely say you're just a little bit worried, compared to 53 or 57 as to where you're pretty worried, and as well as for 70 that you're going to be very worried. So I know that anybody that they may worry to where that they're going to maybe be worried about something necessarily, but on average is that I guess that basically means it's like whenever we dream at night about stuff, that whenever we have those nightmares, it is about stuff that goes on, and you're like worrying to where that all that is what you call in in the nerves, is like to where how for what you're thinking about necessarily, and then about if it's going to be stress and tension on top of it as well. But sometimes that when people ask you a question that they ask is like to where if they're like, well, where's he or where's she, or where's Matthew, and they're like, but on the other hand, that sometimes people are like wondering to where they say well, as like what you call is like, well, we need an answer, or well, what do you have to say? So I know when people ask, it's like they ask questions, and I know about for worried sick, and as well as for well, you know. Well, don't just stand there. Do something about it. So I know that if anybody were to been in that situation, to where that really that what's the best ways of how to show somebody about how important it is for knowing about any jobs that more likely that they have, and as well as like if it's anything related to like anything about it's like to where anything worried some especially, but you have right here is talking about is to where any jobs that more likely that you may have as well, and knowing about unlike anybody else that could be worried about something necessarily. And you're like worrying to where that, hey, that, what's going on with this, or what's going on with that? It's like, well, it's, well, I can, well, what? I can, well, we want an answer. I like that. Well, we're waiting for it. Like, so I know sometimes that you may think about as to where, really, well, what are you asking me for? I'm like, why do you want an answer from me necessarily? But you see right here is, I'll go ahead and add right here, go ahead and add a little bit of blue right here. But let's just say that that this was right here was, for around the holidays, and we're like thinking necessarily to her that, yeah, anything that more likely that we could be worried sick about, and warrant to her that, anything that is related to like, for this was right here, was around the holidays right here, and if this was right here was the Christmas tree. And I'm sure anybody that may want to tour, like, yeah, really, what were you worried about during that time? And like, well, yeah, more likely is if anybody were worried about is to where if they were going maybe some that may say, yeah, wonder if we've been a good boy or a good girl or anybody or if anything about us to where that yeah that for maybe if it's going to be maybe new family member or something that or that don't even know if the new family is going to like me or so. Like if you meet a maybe if you meet a girlfriend or so and thinking as to whether they're that the family may not like them for any particular reason. But on the other hand, that with any kind of worries, though, I keep thinking about is to where that when we think about this, I keep thinking that to where that try to think about any of our worries and something to where you can maybe help solve that worry very quickly. And I guess that's really the best thing I can really say is to where something to help solve that worrisome very quickly instead of worrying a lot of times about it. And I guess sometimes they say it helps maybe just to make a phone call at times or maybe just to write a message or two and checking up on somebody, but still that we may warrant or at the time I warrant or really that really I don't know if anybody really cares or whichever or if it really matters if I show up or not or anything like that I participate in also. So there may be some times to where we may think necessarily to where that yeah while you were helping you work something and then sometimes that they wanted you out of the way during part of the time or if it was anything about us toward something that was said and done or whichever. But on the other hand, I talk about see for where it's sick and was for how people handle it, especially. And I know that this right here being me right here, and this right here would be me right here whenever I was very young. So I have used these two pictures right here. This right here is like if I were to be, if this is the look that I would have, if I was what you call real upset about something or wasn't feeling very good or anything like that. And then this right here would be me right here if I was just looking, on the other corner and not looking at the camera. So if anybody were worried, to where what does it usually mean whenever you're worried sick? Does that usually mean is to where that you're worried enough to where you start getting sick and then you start coming down with a few symptoms and another one would be is to where that yeah that concern that comes really to the matter to where you're not really aware of what's going on. I guess there's a difference between you're not aware of what's going on and so the things that's going on between from what you know and then for what you like to know especially and for what you need to be aware of as well. But I'm sure that like with anybody, that whenever you start getting worried about something, and by the time you finally find out, and then it seems like that you start cooling down afterwards after you find out about it's taken care of. So, I mean, that's just a thing that whenever we work real hard on something and thinking about that, the one of those worries could be is to where that hey, that you're worried that you're not going to do very well on a test, or who else, like, and some people like if it's going to be maybe a girlfriend or anybody like that, or a boyfriend, that they kind of give you that, they try to talk you out of doing something, or they try to talk you out of, saying that, saying something, and they kind of give you that look. It's like they give you that look, and they say, well, please don't do this. Like, but anyway, and then, and I know that, like with anybody, that if that type of look that somebody that may give somebody, and one of those more likely will look something like this right here. I'm like, yeah, that they have that look, the way people look at you especially, and you're like Warren to where that the way people look at one another, and like Warren to where that that look that they give on their that they have on their face whenever they're going to be real worried about somebody, and Warren to where yeah you have right here is the Photoshop work right here, and knowing about that they try to talk you out of doing something. They say, well, please don't do that, and so they had that look, and they may say a few things that some of those things could be what you call strong words, such as something such as is to word that I'll spend every weekend with you, or I'll fix you breakfast, or I'll do your chores, or something like that. So I'm sure most of us have had that experience as to where that anybody that we talk to, that you're getting ready to do something or work something, and they keep thinking as to where that they get real worried about it, and they try to talk you out of doing it, and thinking about, well, it's fun, it's going to be all right. And so that's just a thing that I guess, and then I guess if anybody wants just to go ahead and include that also, is to say everything is going to be okay. Like for now, it's like for okay. But on your hand, that you see right here is that with the talk about for okay, that if anybody were worried to where that that if you're gonna be what you call worried about somebody, and it's like for everything's gonna be okay, or for the most part it's gonna be okay. And so I mean that's just the thing though, that if it's gonna be anything maybe related to a play, and I know that we may think is toward be compared to rehearsing, and as well as maybe going to a party or some sort, and you're like wondering to where that if anything, that more likely any parents or anybody that could be worried about, especially. And I usually think about is to where to be knowing about be lucky to have have somebody that's going to be worried about somebody, especially because if anybody worries as to where really I'm like for who really cares, or like who really would be worried about me, and necessarily for whatever I do, and for anything that I'm going to be working on, especially, and if for whatever that goes on also. So I know that some may say is that why did you wait until the last minute to tell me about your feelings, about what you think about this, compared to what you call that you actually see what was going on. And I know sometimes that's whenever people give each other a hug, and as well as if they kiss, or if they what you call pat each other, pat one another on the back, or anything like that. So that's just the thing about how we describe worried sick. And one of those main things, of course, would be is to where is that think about whenever a child that grows up, whenever they are whenever they're full grown adults, that they're gonna probably say is to where that they think that just like do whatever they like, whatever they please, and whatever they can handle, especially. And so it seems like to where it's all about is to where just kind of what you call showing other friends and family relatives it is that about is to where about how much do you really care about somebody. And one of those things could be is to where if you really want to show about how much you care about somebody, and then maybe that somebody may say is to where maybe you'll be able to do something for me, or maybe if it's what you call is like you say something or do something as like what you call as in pleasure. So it's like between great progress as well as for great pleasure as well. So I keep thinking though is to where like with anybody, the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to anybody really, and you're like worrying to where that if you if you lost your balance, if you tripped over something, or maybe that if maybe if you sneezed, or caught or caught it's like if you would have gotten a bloody nose, or maybe anything about it's like anything that you may think that would be embarrassing, maybe in front of your classmates also. This kind of reminds me, of course, of one of those cartoon TV shows in a Magic School Bus, of course, and like any other show where it's like the kids will be like, "Is it me, or is my whole class in my bedroom? Yeah, is it me, or is my entire class in my bedroom?" And you're like wondering to if anybody wonders as to where you have a if you have a classroom of kids, and think about it, they come to they come into into the children's bedroom, and then they start doing something like related to like a class assignment, and you're like wondering to where, oh well, I guess you all know that I'm sick, don't you? Like, yeah, well, we're gonna go ahead and we decide to come over to your come over to your house, and you'll go ahead and work on the project. So I know that like with anybody that whenever if they do get sick with something, if it's going to be what you call the cold or the flu or anything else, and you're like wondering to where that who you may think is to where you're missing out on a lot of fun. And I know that decorating the Christmas tree and as well as any other type of events as well. And so you're like Warren to where that other ways of how to describe word sick, but one of those main things I like to describe word sick is to where to try to make sure to let everybody know that everything's going to be okay, and then knowing about like for whenever they ask questions, the best ways of how to respond will be like say like well, give us some answers. I'm like well, we want an answer from you especially. So if anybody warns us to her, really, I'm like. No, nobody really wants to ask me a question because I don't think that they really want to care knowing about what I had to say about something. So if anybody warns to where that, I'm like, really about what holiday was that and what year was it? By the way, and think about like, well, were you dressed occasionally or would you call it just dressed like for like the typical holidays? So this picture right here would have been taken probably around I would say about 1993, something like that. Christmas in '93. Have right here with the Christmas decorations. But back then, though, it was like, yeah, if you were going to be worried sick about something and think about it to where that Santa Claus may be what you call may miss the house or something like that. But on the other hand, there are other ways of how to describe words sick. But I guess the best way of knowing about it is like making sure that everybody knows about anything that they're concerned about, especially. And if anybody warns us to where that, yeah, like I don't know, like if anybody really cared to know about the news or if it's anything about us to where anything that related to me, especially. So I know, like with any kids, that you're like warned to where what do people usually do? What do people usually do whenever if they become real worried about something? What do people usually do? So you're like warned to where the question could go by is to where that whenever somebody becomes really worried about somebody and think about it to where that what all would they do if they were really concerned about something, and especially about you and as well as for where you are, and I can also include right here is that with this right here, go ahead and include right here like for the person that this right here will be me right here for who we are and knowing about for who you are, who that person is, and you're like Warren to where okay question for R like how are you, and as well as for doing well. So I know like with anybody there may be a many ways of how to describe word sick, but just making sure that everybody else like say they should say is to where that try to be kind to one another and knowing about who's the guest, and think about as to where that those that may think is to where that really like for showing each other companionship and love especially, but as well as support. But other than that, like talk about for word sick and well, Manny Make 25, and thanks for watching.